除了这个 iPhone 呢，苹果也才刚刚推出新一代的这个平板电脑。执行长库克更喊话 ，iPhone 5C 呢创了销售纪录，到底新品齐发，能不能如愿挤下三星，重返龙头宝座呢？专家说了，三星有更广泛的产品线，而且抓稳了低价智慧手机的趋势，苹果很难打败。而另外看到宏达电，他们下一步要转往的是中低阶的市场，要迎战中国大陆的品牌厂，胜算如何呢？带你来看看今天的关键对话。
各位观众朋友，大家好！苹果推出了他们的新产品 iPad Air， 加上今年又推了 iPhone 5S 和 iPhone 5C， 到底会不会让他们可以超越三星，重新取得龙头宝座呢？而台湾的宏达电今年打算要切入到低阶市场，能不能够突围成功？今天我们为您邀请到了 IDC 的研究总监 Ryan Reed 来接受我们的专访。Hello, nice to meet you, Mr. Reed.
Nice to see you, Ashley.
How's your perspective for the Apple's new product, iPad Air? Do you think that iPad Air and iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S will help Apple to get back the market share?
I think that Apple's made some interesting announcements recently. So the iPad Air, certainly some big improvements in terms of technology, and we do expect that they will continue to hold the market lead in the tablet market. The challenge that Apple has with its new products is that the price points for both its tablets, its iPad line, and its iPhones are significantly higher than what the average selling price for the market is going towards. So we expect that the market lead will be continued to be held by Apple in the tablet space. However, we don't think that the price points of the iPhone 5S and especially the iPhone 5C are at the point where they can drive volume to get beyond Samsung for the market lead.
So how's your prediction for the global smartphone market share in the third quarter?
Apple and Samsung haven't announced their third quarter market share yet, or their performance, I should say. But we don't expect any changes in terms of market share ranking. We expect Samsung to be still the market leader for smartphones in the third quarter. Mainly, they have a broader product distribution in terms of mid-range, high-end, and low-end devices, which is really going to drive the overall market share higher than Apple. The other telling tale is that Apple released its most recent products, the iPhone 5S and 5C, at the very end of the third quarter. So we expect the real effect of the iPhone 5 family to actually take effect in the fourth quarter of this year.
So you think that Apple has potential to win Samsung in the fourth quarter because of iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S?
Yeah, we expect they'll gain more share. We don't expect that they will surpass Samsung. So currently we expect Apple to have about 15% of the market share for smartphones in the third quarter. We expect that to grow to roughly about 23% in the fourth quarter. But please keep in mind that Samsung still has over 30% market share. So we don't expect any changes in terms of the market leader.
So Samsung's strategy is great to win market share, right?
The industry is really moving towards a lower cost smartphone. Samsung has some very high-end devices with the Galaxy S4 and the Note 3, but what they don't get have that helps them a lot is a lot of mid-range and low-end devices that are a lot cheaper and can drive a lot more volume and market share.
Do you think that mid to low-end smartphone will be the mainstream?
Yeah, this is definitely the trend that we've seen globally. So today we expect roughly about 26% of the overall smartphone market to be under $200. So that's how we consider the kind of the low tier or low cost smartphone. We expect in 5 years that to grow to be 50% of the market. So clearly the opportunity for high volume is in low cost, and this is cost that's under $200, which is really outside of what Apple's catering towards today.
We know that Taiwan's brand HTC also say that they will more focus on the low-cost smartphone. How's your prediction for them? Do you think that they will gain their goal of 20% market share in the China market?
I think 20% market share for HTC is very aggressive in the China market. The main reason is that there's a number of Chinese vendors today who have a strong footprint in the China smartphone market. Lenovo, Coolpad, Huawei, ZTE. So to kind of summarize, the competition is already strong. These are vendors that are producing smartphones at very low cost today. So we believe that the market share lead will be those who also invest in individualized brand marketing. So our recommendation to HTC and others would be to continue to invest in the overall brand marketing strategy.
From your perspective, do you think that smartphone company move to the low-cost smartphone will help them to get more market share in the future?
Yeah, I think low cost is definitely the way to go in terms of driving market share. The challenge with low cost is that it brings much lower margins. So I think that's the challenge that everyone has. But given the fact that we expect the industry to move towards 50% of the overall market to be under $200 smartphones, we think that if you expect to keep market share or grow market share, low cost is the way to do it.
Because we know that in the low-cost smartphone market, Chinese brand plays very well.
Yes.
So do you think that other companies have a potential to win Chinese brand? Because we know that the main market is Chinese market.
Yes.
So how's your
So
perspective?
China is definitely the main market for growth. The only way we see non-Chinese brands growing market share within China is if they can compete on the low-cost strategy. And it's going to be very tough given the fact that the Chinese brands have a foothold in the close relationships with Chinese manufacturing, which is among the cheapest in the world.
Yeah.
There's some other markets like the India market that have huge potential in years to come. So I think that there's opportunity for companies like HTC and others to grow market share based on other markets outside of China. But again, low cost will be the strategy for moving market share.
How do you see the potential of Chinese brand company? Do you think that they have potential to maybe one day win Apple and Samsung in the future?
So they've clearly made some strides already. I think if we look at the top of the market today, the last research that we published had two Chinese brands, Lenovo and Huawei, that were in the top 5. ZTE was number 6. These are companies that were not at the top of the market leaders a year ago today. So what we've seen is changing dynamics. They've continued to move up the list in terms of market share, and we don't see that trend changing. So as long as they continue to focus on low-cost strategy and they can maintain even the smallest margins that they have today, then we think they will start to grow market share and put pressure on Apple and Samsung.
How about Nokia? With Microsoft support, Nokia launched their new product, their first phablet product. Do you think that phablet will become the potential to gain more market share for Nokia and to break through?
Yeah, so phablets, so 5 to 7 inch smartphones are definitely a trend that we see taking off just over the last 6 months. Nokia World, where they announced 2 phablets. One was a very high-end, high-cost price for the 1520 Lumia. But what I think is actually more important is they announced a 6-inch Lumia device, the 1320, that should retail with an ASP or average selling price of $330. So I think that if Nokia uses this strategy to take the larger screen devices to the lower cost, I think that they've got a good opportunity to grow some market share.
A lot of companies really expect the Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays. So how's your prediction for the sales of these holidays this year?
We're expecting a very strong overall holiday season, so beginning with Thanksgiving and moving into both the December holiday season as well. So it's a big time for consumers to purchase technology. We expect very, very strong tablet sales. So we're expecting a record fourth quarter for both smartphone sales and tablet sales globally. So overall prediction is very strong. We expect both over 40% growth year over year in both spaces for the holiday season.
How about next year? Do you think that next year mobile device still have great growth rate?
So certainly we're starting to see the growth rates of past years slow down a little bit. So for instance, this year we're expecting roughly 40% growth in the smartphone market, and we're expecting that to drop to about 24% next year. So saturation levels are starting to pick up. We're seeing more and more folks who are using mobile devices, and even though the price points are continuing to drop, we do expect these very high growth rates to actually come down. So we're talking about over 1 billion smartphones to ship this year. So 24% growth rate next year is still very good volume, a lot of opportunity, but it won't be the growth that we've seen in the past couple of years.
So as you said that the growth rate will reduce in the next year for the mobile device. Is that means the competition in the market will more fierce?
Yes, I think there's certainly going to be more fierce competition. What we expect to see, and this goes back to my point that I made about the opportunity for low cost, is that we expect that there will be opportunity in each market for 1 or 2 high-priced devices. Clearly, Apple has always had one of those devices in the market, So we expect the competition at the low end of the market to be very fierce. A lot of new vendors have started to ship both tablets and smartphones based on the fact that Android has very low kind of barriers to entry. And we expect that competition to pick up and continue. It was very fierce this year, and we're expecting to see the same next year as well.
Thanks, Mr. Ray.
Thank you.
手机市场竞争越来越激烈，各家厂商新品齐发，就是为了要赢得更多的市占率。不过，谁能够成为最后的赢家，能不能够抓住消费者的心，绝对是成败的关键。